I think it's pretty interesting, and I think the end result is going to be even more interesting. Can a public school, public university in this case, fire its basketball coach over a Dilbert-like Bible verse? Look out. Be careful what you ask for. Now, I'll add this already. I'm not sure if he were to get fired. I think it's an if, but I think we can have theories about that. I'm not sure the guy would not have a case for getting fired for this. And there may be some other stuff. Let me back up a second and tell you how things work in college sports. Outside, I tell you, you could say, well, but that's not what happened with Chris Beard at Texas. I mean, he was really successful, and they whacked him. That's true. I do think that is kind of an outlier. But that is such a horrific accusation and arrest and a charge in the moment that I think that one's unavoidable. I think spousal abuse in any form, no matter what your record, gets you fired. But generally the way it works in college sports is they look for reasons to keep you when you're winning, almost no matter what. And that usually applies to cheating and stuff like that, okay? So, I mean, take an example. Modern example would be Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. And they've had, he's basically told the NCAA, I'll lie to you. I'm not going to talk to you at all. Deal with it. And he got a raise and they gave him a contract extension. Doesn't matter as long as you're winning. When you're not winning enough, they'll find excuses to get rid of you. And the excuses will usually be some sort of morality play. I played for a coach, very successful coach who got fired. And because the Texas at the time thought, well, we could win more, the record wasn't good enough. You start finding stuff like, player discipline and blah, blah, blah. So, winning is almost the only thing. Almost. Not completely, but almost. So the schools typically look for moral reasons and rules-related reasons to fire you when they're not happy with your record. So just keep that in mind. But I think if the guy were to get fired and somebody were to say it's about this Dilbert-like Bible verse, I think you might have a case, an interesting case. I have to admit, I think it'd be kind of an interesting case. And that is, wait a minute, you fired me for using a Bible verse? I mean, that's where the story starts. So if his record were better, he could trot out all the Stone Age biblical references he wanted to, and he'd be fine. But he's in last place in the Big 12, only won 5 conference games, and in the industry of college sports, if there's even the hint of a racial issue, you are toast. Understand what I'm saying? If there's even a hint of a racial issue, he's arguing it wasn't intentional. He's not even said, I'm not even apologizing for this. I mean, I trotted out a Bible verse and I was told a player or two had a problem with it. And now look what's happening. But I do want you to know that no matter what you tried to say or how it's supposed to come across, if there is even a hint of being racially insensitive, you are toast, because your business, your livelihood is selling to mostly young black men. And if you give another coach a chance to sell against you over race, you are finished. You're finished in your job. I mean, but should that be his problem? Now, I mean, I can give you plenty of examples of, gosh, I remember it was a long time ago, and I tried to explain this to the public at the time too, that you have to understand that the livelihood of a coach, big-time coach in football or basketball, is selling to young black men. That's the livelihood. So obviously you can appreciate, I mean, no matter how immoral it would be, but you can appreciate how you can't give another coach, another program a chance to use something race-related against you, because you really get crushed, and you should get crushed. You will have no chance sitting on the couch of a house of a 17-year-old kid. If the next coach that comes in on that couch can say that against you, you're finished. Absolutely finished. So if this sticks around, this dude is finished. Now, maybe he'll be able to explain it away by saying it's just a Bible verse. I'm not apologizing. Okay, but look out. You also need to look out, buddy, because you only won 5 games. Okay, so you got it all. It's all kind of piling up on him. Here's the headline. It says, Texas Tech suspends men's basketball coach Mark Adams after exchange with player. According to the school, Adams cited a Bible verse referencing slaves serving their masters to a player during practice. Okay, I know what you're going to, you're going to argue, a lot of people would argue, and I think a lot of opponents would argue, it sounds kind of Dilbert-like, right? But is that really fair? I mean, can you be fair to this guy in this moment? Okay. Maybe you shouldn't have gone there, but he hasn't apologized. Does it help him that he's not going to apologize? I want you to think about this. This is really uncomfortable. And also remember, he's won 5 games. Okay. The school announced Adams' suspension on Sunday ahead of its Big 12 tournament opener against West Virginia this Wednesday. Tech said Adams cited a Bible verse that included a reference to slaves serving their masters. The school issued a statement. Public school, by the way, and I do think that matters. I think it matters a lot. I think it matters for the school, and I think it matters a lot for him in his defense. I do. The school said in a statement, Adams was encouraging the student athlete to be more receptive to coaching and referenced Bible verses about workers, teachers, parents, and slaves serving their masters. Adams immediately addressed this with the team and apologized. Now, he won't apologize publicly. Adams confirmed the basics of Texas Tech's account and said he did not apologize for what he said. Now, I understand the school. I think he's already accusing the school of trying to spin this a little bit here. And I think this statement, this phrase, I think it's starting to build up. The fact that you get suspended before the Big 12 tournament is a big deal. Okay, it's a really big deal. The school issued a statement saying, well, he apologized for it. He's saying, I'm not apologizing for anything. Now, I'm sure plenty of people are going to hear this and think, well, he didn't mean it that way. Maybe so. I think he's going to argue, I didn't mean it that way. And then other people are going to say, yeah, but you did. Now what? Them suspending him, and he has to know this because he's been around a while. I believe he was an assistant to Chris Beard. But for this story to get out, for him to get suspended here and now over this verse, of which he's the one saying, yeah, I used the verse. Yes, I did. And I'm not going to apologize for it. The fact that it's race-related can be made race-related. The fact that you do find it race-related, insensitive, or you want to argue, come on. I mean, it's a Bible verse. So what? That's why I think the guy's going to have a defense. But they got a problem now. Okay, I just told you, when somebody can sell against you to young black men that you've even gone anywhere close to anything racially insensitive, you are finished. Okay? This is going to be used to hit him over the head. The school suspending him has opened the door for this to be used against him. You want to argue fairness? You want to argue unfairness? Do whatever you want with this. I could see an argument the guy has if he were to get fired. And I don't know that he will, because they just, of course, gave him a contract extension last year when he was winning. See, now look what happens. Has anybody ever noticed? Can I also do something with you? I know in the college sports business, I've already made a case that they're a bunch of moronic bureaucrats, and they are. Has anybody ever noticed how quickly things go wrong as soon as these coaches get extensions? You notice how it doesn't usually pan out very much? Kind of backfires. Could the school be looking for a way out? Yeah, maybe. I would argue if I'm his lawyer, and I only was a lawyer just to be able to go fly fish. That's all I took the LSAT for, was just to be able to fly fish somewhere. But I might argue, I'm sorry, public university, you're firing my client for a Bible verse? Are you? Well, let's go. Let's go to the courthouse. Let's go to in front of some Trump-appointed judges right now. Let's go. So he says he did not apologize for what he said. I was quoting scripture. One of my coaches said it bothered a player. Okay. Well, how's the team doing? Not well. Not well at all. He was 20. What was he? He's 21-22 after taking over from Chris Beard. They're 5-13 in the Big 12. They had lost. Let's see. They're 5-5 in their last 10. I believe they're ninth in the Big 12 right now. So now what? Now what? It's out there. It's a story. He's suspended. You can't get away from it. He's suspended. He is saying it's about the verse serving, slave serving. The school says it's about the verse, slave serving. Everyone is now talking about the verse. Everyone's talking about him using it. The school tried to spin it where he tried to apologize. He spun it where I didn't try to apologize at all. I'm not backing off at all. I think they got a fight setting up here. What do you do? What do you do? Oh, and by the way, they're last in the Big 12.